All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending upon the case where you're at. This is Daryl Ferguson. We'll be starting the webinar shortly. All right. For those of you that are just joining, we'll be starting here in just about 30 seconds. We've got a lot of folks logging in right now. Okay, well, it looks like we've got a vast majority of folks that are getting logged in right now. Well, I want to welcome everyone to the webinar this afternoon. My name is Daryl Ferguson. I'm the Director of Performance Management with X-Time. I'm joined today by a couple of my colleagues. I've got Terri Gonzalez. She's one of our lead performance managers, as well as Will Crouch. He is one of our senior performance managers on our team as well. They'll be assisting today, answering any questions and trying to get those organized as we go through the program today. Just a couple of quick notes of housekeeping. The presentation today should last around 25 or 30 minutes or so. We have lots of great information to share with you. In your tool, I guess, or your GoToWebinar control panel, I guess is your formal name, there is a chat box. So as you have any questions or comments or any concerns or anything that you'd like to share or have a question answered, please drop those in the chat box throughout the presentation. I'll take a couple of breaks throughout the conversation, and then at the very end of the presentation, we'll leave the meeting open, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. You probably have noticed that we have your mics muted today, that we do have a lot of attendees, so I want to make sure we keep the background noise down. But we do want to hear from you and hear your questions, so please put those in the chat box, and then we'll either address those or we'll reach out to you directly and we'll address those as we go through. So obviously, we're in some interesting times, and so we felt compelled as your partner to put together some information to really try to help guide us. We've developed what we call the Be Safe check-in or Be Safe service experience process. I'm going to review that with you today in length. So let's just jump in and get started. I just want to verify, Terri or Will, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
I can.
All right, perfect. Good. It's hard to know. All right, so that being the case, as obviously we know that business is being affected in the U.S. and Canada, and I'm showing a map here of our current stay-at-home orders. I mean, this was from this weekend. This may have slightly changed, but obviously it is having an impact. We do have some data that's coming in from our Cox survey folks, and just a couple of interesting statistics that we've noticed by interviewing consumers as well as dealers over the last 3 weeks. As 28% of customers that are being surveyed say that they are planning on delaying their purchase of the vehicle until they feel comfortable that we can get through this. However, at the same time, 55% of those folks surveyed with respect to purchasing a vehicle, new or used, said that they would prefer not to visit the store, but still would be willing to negotiate or talk about some type of a digital sale or type of, maybe a home delivery or something like that. So open to those things, however, just not, really extremely interested in doing anything in the short term as far as making the purchase. So obviously it's incumbent upon the dealer to reach out. But more specific to our conversation today, 29% of the folks that were surveyed said unless it was a extremely pressing issue that they would delay a repair or service unless they just absolutely had to do it. So that's kind of what we built the premise around today, talking about how can we continue to do business with our customers, stay connected to our customers, keep them informed. So we put together some information today I think are going to fill in a lot of gaps. Many of you on this call have probably already tackled a lot of these problems, challenges, or you're in the process of tackling these things. So we thought we'd put it all together for you. One thing I did fail to mention at the beginning is we will have this available. We'll send out the presentation deck to you today if you just ask for it. You got an email reminding you of this webinar from me earlier today. So all you have to do is just respond back to that email, ask for a copy of the presentation. We're also recording the presentation as well. A few themes that I think you'll pick up on as I go through the content today. Number one, we're in this together. We do think of you as a partner, and we feel the pain right along with you with our decrease in traffic. And so my team, my performance management team, is here to help. And so, a lot of things we're going to recommend today are going to be things that may be challenging to get implemented, and my team's here to help assist you with those things. But some of the things that I wanted to get your mind around and be thinking about, the digital experience for the customer is going to be just extremely important, and honestly, I don't know how this is going to affect us, a year from now, but I do feel a bit of a paradigm shift. I know the technology has been boiling up in our service areas, the demand by our customers for different types of ways to interact through texting, digital check-in, digital online payment, online quote and things, all the things that, we've been working on are now really coming full circle and coming to the forefront, where our customers are demanding those things, and not just for the reasons that, that's the way that times are going, in 2020, but really more for, to stay safe. So we're going to recommend a lot of low or no touch things today. So let's just press on here. So today's agenda, we're going to talk through how to continue to service vehicles with a be safe approach. Our second part is staying connected to your customers. And third, we're going to wrap up with what actions do you need to take for temporary closure or limited hours. And some of you on this call today are maybe in some of those situations. Excuse me here. Let's get this thing going. So let's start with our be safe process and check-in. So I've got some good news for those folks on the phone today that have our Engage Check-in tablet. We've been working on a self-check-in tool that will go hand in hand with that tablet. We actually were in the process of a pilot. We've pulled that ahead. If any of you have talked to your performance managers lately, you may have heard from us. We now have the ability to send the customer a text to allow them to self-check-in at the dealership. So obviously a lot less touch points, be able to notify you and your staff that they're there. They can simply just click a link from the text that we send them. And they'll be able to go into an environment where they'll be able to, you'll be able to communicate with them where to drop the car off, any specific notices, anything they need to do. They'll also be able to ask for, someone to speak to them before they leave, but it allows them to check in from their own personal mobile device. A few other things that you need to consider to think about if you're not already. The pre-writing ROs. If you've got appointments that are in the system, we know they're coming in. Let's be prepared for them. Let's get service history pulled up front. Let's get the recalls pulled up front. Let's be ready for them. We want to, we certainly want to address all their concerns that they have. However, we want to do this in as quick a fashion as we possibly can. So if you've not been a big fan of pre-writes in the past, I think it may be time to be thinking about that, things that we can make the process smoother, easier, quicker, and be able to, share really specific information with the customer as they walk in. Also, and I'm going to show an example of this in a second, but any walk-in customers that you have, let's make sure that we have a document, and I'm going to show you, like I said, an example of a store that's done a very nice job with that, outlining what your be safe process is or what your internal process is, in an effort to, adhere to social distancing. So very, very important for walk-in business to let them know how you do business. The next thing, many of you have probably heard or seen in the news about Clutch. Clutch is a service that is basically a pickup and delivery service for customers' vehicles. However, that kind of follows the same lines of what can we do in the dealership now. I mean, certainly you can employ Clutch. However, pickup and delivery, we call it Valet in our system, I think is really going to be extremely important, especially since we know about a third of our customers really are thinking or planning on delaying any type of repairs. Pushing that off, if we can offer a pickup and delivery, that can leave a really lasting impression with your customer. So if they're able to schedule that on your website, select the Valet option, And at the closer to the end of the call today, folks, I'll explain to you how to set that up or how to get that set up in your schedule tool. You can set capacities and I mean you can control it, but having that available is important. Now you need to think about how we're going to do that. Are we going to send 2 drivers? Are we going to, if you're in a store that you do a lot of loaner cars, you're going to offer a loaner car. So are you going to drop one off, pick one up, or are you just going to pick it up? Some stores I've talked to, they've leveraged ride share to transport a driver to pick up the car. Or offer ride share to the customer to pick them up, to bring them back to pick up their car. So just employing a couple of new things that are going to make the transition much smoother. Another note, and I was reminded of this today, you can simply take the Engage tablet on a cell-enabled tablet, so a tablet that has its own, Wi-Fi signal, and literally be able to use that to check someone in at their home, go through the menus, go through all the packages and things that are available to them. If you've got our Spectrum product or Inspect tool, you're able to go through declined services. So think about that as well. Maybe just having one iPad that's enabled with cellular service would allow you to do that mobile check-in directly from their home or their office. And then obviously we want to try to remove as many documents as we can from the process. If we can send them electronically, if we can email them or we can text them, obviously that's going to be the safest way to deliver those documents. Here's that example again of what, in my opinion, a really, really nice bullet-pointed description, and this could be something that you can create. Maybe it's a document you can email. If you had it just laminated or something, you could show somebody that they could see at the dealership if they walked in. But just going through the things that you can do for them, the valet service, how we communicate, and we'll get into a little bit more about communication shortly. Financing options, if you've got FlexPay or flexible payment options. How you're completing your transactions. So we're doing it via if online bill pay. So we're not handling credit cards or have to come in close contact with other folks to be able to pay. Protecting their vehicle, with floor mats, covers, steering wheel covers, and then your commitment to sanitizing it, wiping it back down. So a number of different really good ideas about ways to keep, and this shouldn't necessarily just be something in service. Obviously, we can post this to the website. We can post this, really wherever we know our customers are going to be putting eyes on it. Just a commitment to let them know that how valuable they are to you. So jumping back into the Be Safe process, moving on to when we have the vehicle, when it gets into service, thinking about ways to stay connected with our customer, as well as be able to provide what we've promised them. And the vast majority of you are going to provide a multi-point inspection to your clients, probably the promise that you've made to them when they bring their vehicle in. So think about how are we using texting to communicate. Very, very important. And maybe some of you on the phone have, today are having your advisors, text from their personal phone. We have some solutions, obviously, we can help you with. If you certainly if you have our Spectrum tool, you've got texting, but just really reevaluating how you're using texting in your store, and making it safe as a communication tool. Service trackers. Some of you may have this tool. If not, talk with us. We'll certainly work with you on getting it installed. It's a part of Inspect. What it allows you to do, if you're not aware, is to basically send a text to the customer, and they've got a link, and they can track their vehicle through the service department, through the check-in and the inspection and the repair, and as it gets completed. So it'll just update, gives the customer the ability to check on the status of their vehicle simply and easily from, whatever device that they choose to use. Great tool. With the MPI, so your mechanical inspection, being able to, add pictures or videos, sending pictures, we've got a couple different options at Xtime with your standard mobile mechanic app. You're able to take a photo in the inspection per ASR. So if we've got a dirty filter, or we've got something leaking, or you want to show tire wear or brake wear. There's never been a better time to create a picture and send that to them right along with the quote. With that quote booklet that we send out, especially with the online approval piece, they're able to see those pictures instead of the stock photos that we have. So being able to incorporate that, if you've been thinking about doing that in the past, it's never been a better time to do that. And then, of course, our online approvals and quotes. If you do have our inspect software or whatever inspection software you may have, if it has the ability or functionality to be able to provide that quote to the customer via email or text, it's really, really important to do that. Again, knocking down on the level of documents that we're exchanging is probably important. Documents tend to require, much more face-to-face contact. So obviously, anything we can do online, be thinking about, the functionality. If it's not our software that you have in that area, certainly the software that you have. And let's find out what the capabilities are. Really, really important to be able to present that to them electronically. A FlexPay option. We have a FlexPay option available. If you've got any type of subscription with us, the lender that we've got set up with initially is Dignify. You may have other FlexPay options that you're set up with. I know there's a number of providers out there, but making sure that the customer is aware of that, especially right now, it's a tough time. Everybody's dealing with this in different ways, and it's important that we have safe, reliable vehicle that we can get around in. But maybe somebody's not so excited about spending the money right now. Maybe they want to save it, so they're making that decision. So if we could offer them a flexible payment option, I know with credit-worthy folks, you can usually get 60 days with no interest on a lot of these repairs. So thinking about, a lot of us have this available in our stores today, just rarely used. Now's never been a better time to dust that off, get that out, and let's make that available to our customers. Another feature available right now to Spectrum accounts, or at least the minimum of schedule and inspect clients, is our new X-Time mobile app, which allows deeper integrated chat, as well as the ability for your technicians to have a new experience with mobile, or being able to use Inspect mobily. But the new chat tool, especially internally, allows you to install the app on the phone and be able to chat internally. So not only is it quicker communication, but it also is a safer, less face-to-face communication between your staff. The less contact we have, even internally, the better and safer we all are. So let me push on to the next. So the last piece, I know I've said a lot, and I know there's a lot to this, but remember, I'll be happy to send this out to you. But talking about the payment and delivery portion. So having the ability to send an online payment link is vital. I think, in this day and age, the vast majority of people are kind of over their fear of paying online or putting their credit card information in. We've got so many secure ways to do that now. We do offer that at X-Time. It's a nominal charge to set it up through us, and we can certainly do that for you. It just requires a little setup work, and then we've got to get with SendPOS, which is our payment processor, and you can set that up a couple different ways. If you've got questions on that and you don't have a mobile payment function right now, let your performance manager know, and we'll work on getting that set up for you. When you're dropping off vehicles, if you've got a valet customer, so let's say the scenario is they booked a valet appointment, possibly maybe we sent a ride share and sent a valet to the car, grabbed the vehicle, brought it in, and then we're going to deliver it back. So let's think through how we're going to be safe with the customer as we get an RO signature. A lot of these repairs, maybe their warranty, maybe their recalls, are going to require a wet ink signature. So let's think through that and how we're going to do that. Let's make sure that we as we approach customers, are we wearing gloves? Those types of things are vitally important to how the service experience is going to go. It's going to be, I think, for most customers, a huge convenience, and they're really going to appreciate you picking their vehicle up. However, let's just be very, very cognizant of how that interaction takes place. So let's make sure we thought through that. Obviously we've got the ride share that's available. Guys, Lyft integration is available for free through X-Time. If you've got at least schedule with us, we can set that up in relatively no time. And the tool works very, very well. It's totally integrated in the schedule. It'll allow you to order rides directly through the tool. It'll track them by RO number. So, at the end of the day, it makes it much smoother. Also, too, the billing would come directly through Xtime. So it makes it much easier without having to set up a commercial account on the Lyft or Uber side. We're currently integrated with Lyft. So if that's available in your market, obviously you want to take a look at that. Again, your performance manager can be more than happy to talk with you about setting that up. And then thinking about, do you have the ability in the store, and many of your credit card processors that you use today have the ability to accept payment from Apple Pay, Google Pay, different forms of payment. It's really just a matter of having the device to do it. So a lot of the most recently updated machines, especially the chip reading machines, do have the ability to accept credit cards. If you guys have seen some of the new credit cards now, they don't have the numbers on the front; they have them on the back. Those are the chip-enabled cards where you're able to just hover it or close it or tap it close to the machine, as well as with Apple Pay and Google Pay over your cell phone, being able to enable that. It's that same device that's going to pick up that. So think about that. If you've got that capability with your processing tools in your store, let's think about maybe if you don't have it enabled, let's get it enabled. It's much more comfortable for the customer. And then I mentioned FlexPay earlier, but it's about that's about the most contactless payment method that there is. Especially certainly with the way we've set it up. I don't know, if you've got other providers, but obviously being able to provide them the link to be able to do that on their device, fill it all out, sign up for it, get all the information, provide that information all electronically via text or email. Obviously, that's a great way to be able to help the customer as well. And then, like I said, in many cases, they're offering a period of time at reduced, either no interest or extremely reduced interest for a short period of time with most of those programs. So I know I've said a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break here, and do we have any questions that have come up thus far?
Daryl, I haven't seen any come across as of yet.
Okay. Well, let me check my queue here real quick, guys. We're all right. I do have a couple that popped up in this question box. So, which rideshare apps are integrated with Xtime? Well, we have Charlie, we have built in an integration with Lyft. It is no cost to you to set that up. Obviously, there's a fee for the rides, and we process those. Hopefully, in my comment I made earlier that answered your question. But it's a simple integration, and like I said, we set that up. We have reporting as well that you can track it. Next question: some dealers have had to shut down their shuttle service, so Lyft rideshare can be effective. Yes, absolutely. Gene, thanks for the comment. See, does any employee have a mobile app? Okay, so those are the questions for now. All right. So the last piece of delivery is really more internal. So being able you establish a process in your store. I know many of you have done that. We've established and written some protocol. In my retail career, I certainly was not great at writing protocol, but I certainly have gotten better over the years and understanding now it's probably never been a better time to do that. So, being able to establish a protocol, how are you going to treat their vehicle? How are you going to take it through your process and make sure the customer feels very comfortable how you're going to do that. So write that down. Let's get a written process. If you're struggling with that a little bit, our performance management team is happy to help you with that. But being able to show that step-by-step process when the car hits the drive, how we protect your vehicle, all through the entire process, and how we disinfect or we clean the door, we clean the door handles within the steering wheel, the things that we touch as we go through the car, making sure that we have that process documented. And then some other things to think about. Active delivery is not going to be as hands-on. And so, thinking about maintaining safe distances, handshaking, And again, I mentioned earlier, talking through and having that process. One dealer pointed out to me the other day, one of the things that they've started doing as before they hand the keys back is they're doing a visual or wipe down of the actual keys. So, I think that just sends the message that, you're trying to take really good care of the car as well as the process, take care of our customers. So actually having the customers see them, with a Clorox cloth wiping down the keys to make sure that the customer's safe. I mean, those things leave a lasting impression. All right. So like I just mentioned, we've got 3 sections to our conversation today. The second is staying connected. And, as a performance management team, we're out there every day, for years now, really encouraging, the service industry in general to really begin to think about, how we're communicating with our customers. Obviously texting is just what we do, right? In everyday life, everyone's texting. While I've been on this call for the first 20 minutes or so, I'm sure many of you have probably responded to a text or texted somebody. So, we've been talking about that for a while, but thinking about how we're going to communicate with our customers is vital through this period of time. So some of the things we're going to recommend as you make adjustments to your scheduling tool is really think about, oftentimes, you set up X time schedule years ago, you have your operating hours, you've got your advisor schedules in there, and it really never gets messed with that much. But really making sure that you have updated your capacity settings, as you make operational changes. If you've cut down a little bit on staff or you've amended your hours, really, really important because it's never been more important. The way the customer views you online, the information that they're getting has to be accurate. It has to be current, and it has to be exactly what they expect. So if they do make the trip down there, they don't pull into an empty dealership that with a sign on the door that says we're open at 10 and it's 8 o'clock. So let's make sure that we're doing that. Let's also think about maybe adding some packages and services and changing the verbiage. So if I'm going to do a multi-point inspection, is my multi-point inspection just these 27 items, or does it include some of the sanitizing things we talked about, with the car protections, the covers? Because again, remember, the customer's looking for this information and they're seeing it online. So if you've gone in and you've taken the time to amend some of those services to talk about some of the safety precautions, really, really important. Pricing's never been more important. We've always known that dealerships that price their services online do tend to have a higher conversion rate with customers, meaning that they're booking appointments online much more frequently when they can see the information. So let's make sure that if you don't at least have some basic pricing, now would be a great time to work with your performance manager to get some basic pricing on some of your basic things. And it's important to do that. One other thing to note, if you think about it, in offering some mobile service, I had a great comment from a dealer the other day that mentioned, if cars are going to be sitting in garages for a while, maybe they're not going to be driven as frequently. There may be a situation where we've got a lot of batteries, where we've got to jump cars, or maybe the tire went flat. So thinking about possibly, how are you going to deal with that? Maybe those are some repairs as well that you might want to list out on your website. And then we mentioned Valet. We have that function as a capacity. I won't belabor it, but it is a great option, and we call pickup and delivery Valet in our system. We can enable that for you. You just simply need to let us know through support or your performance manager, and we can get that set up. So then when your customers are asking for that service online, we can limit those capacities because we certainly wouldn't want to make promises we can't deliver on. But I'm sure you can figure out exactly how many you'd be capable of doing, and we can set that up for you. Again, we're going to go back to FlexPay. I couldn't encourage you enough. If you've got our Invite product, use Invite. Make sure that we've included a FlexPay message in our Invite templates. Anything we're sending out to stay in touch with our customers, and really any communication that you have, make sure that you're offering FlexPay as an option. And then one thing to note, we do have an auto opt-in feature in X-Time Schedule. That would allow, as new appointments are booked, those customers are auto opted in for texting. Now, this isn't going to go auto opt in your entire database, but it will auto opt in any new appointments that are added to the system. So really, it's a nice feature. It's just one less step, but it will you have that ability. And again, you can reach out to our support team or our performance manager, and they'll be able to set that up for you. A few other things to note with respect to staying connected to your customers. You know, there's probably many, many ways that you're currently marketing to your customer. Maybe you're using your CRM tool. You may have, our service marketing tool, Invite. You may have other service marketing tools. But it's really, really important to communicate your Be Safe service experience. I cannot stress that enough. I mean, and a lot of us are getting emails from a lot of businesses right now talking about the steps that they've taken to make their environment safe for you to still do business with them. It's never been a more important time, and I know it may seem like a little bit labor intensive and something we shouldn't, really take the time to do. Oh, my customers know me; they're going to know I'm going to take care of them. I mean, it's pretty uncertain times, so let's just make sure that you're going to refine all your communications, email, websites, text templates, any special offers that you're making. Let's make sure that there's a mention in there of your safe experience. It couldn't be more important than it is now to do that. Also, like I mentioned to you, we do have, for those engaged customers out there, we do have self-check-in available. We can get that going for you almost, within, just a few, maybe a day or so, if even that long. It's going to require you to set up a little bit, get us a little information, but we can get that going almost immediately. And then, of course, it's important to opt those customers in, because that's how we communicate that check-in process to them, is through text. Another dealership that I recently talked to offered me a couple of other things that they're doing, and maybe it's something you've thought about. Maybe you're already doing this, but posting multiple times a day to social sites, just different. If obviously many of you have Facebook pages and different areas where you keep the community updated on maybe some things you're doing in the community, or however you guys. All the different social sites in your market, or what's most important there. I mean, it's important to keep updates going, and not necessarily, obviously, in a lot of these areas, it's not really a great place to hard sell things, but it really is important to keep your customers updated on your hours and what's changing at the dealership. And, a positive message that, if you're able to be open, that you are open and you are taking care of them, and you do offer pickup and delivery, and you've got multiple ways to pay, as well as your phone message on hold messages. Make sure you're communicating that as well. I know this is a lot, and like I mentioned, we'll get this all out to you. Some examples of some things that we've seen that really look great, that kind of got the message across pretty simply. I mean, here's a nice lead-in that was on one of our dealers' websites. The message is simple: we're open, we're here to help you. And this particular one has a sales message. We'll deliver vehicles. Obviously this message is customizable. We can talk about, we'll pick your vehicle up for service. We'll bring you a vehicle, to view and test drive or experience. Just really, really, important that we get these messages out. Another thing that came to our attention is, communicating, possibly communicating if you are temporarily closed, when you plan to reopen. And I get it. There's some debate out there. Well, what if that date changes? Honestly, if they're committed and they want to come in, and like it says here, we plan to reopen April 8th. Let's get our schedule tool set up to be able to accept appointments on April 8th. And we get a little closer to that day and things have changed, we can reach out to those customers and we can reschedule them. But let's give them an opportunity and let them know that maybe we are temporarily closed, but you know what? We're going to be back open on the 8th or the 16th or whatever that date is. So let's give them an opportunity. Some of them, may still want to come in and get things done. Maybe they make the appointment. Maybe you call them up and say, hey, we do offer pickup and delivery now, or whatever that is. And then just having, some type of messaging. If you feel compelled to offer some maintenance and repair discounts, again, there's your 60 days, no interest, complimentary lift, for a ride back and forth, complimentary valet service. Here's my hours. Just, some things that you can post that can pop up, maybe some things on your website. And then, of course, again, I'm really convinced that with this kind of shift in the market, offering valet service is going to be a strong key to keeping us going. for the next period of time. So the last thing I wanted to cover today, and then we'll jump into some questions, is just some nuts and bolts things that we need to be thinking about in the event we do have to temporarily close or maybe dramatically limit our hours or services available. Let's just, as a checklist, let's just make sure we update all forms of media. I'm not going to run through every one of them, but be thinking about all the different ways. Again, that's what most folks are doing. At least that's what my family's doing. They're sitting around a lot with their head in their phone, looking at the internet, playing around, here and there. And when it comes time to think about the vehicle, they're going to go to the website and they're going to expect information. They're going to expect good information and up-to-date information. One other thing of note as well, make sure that, we're not just doing it electronically. If you've got information, you probably need to also think about posting that on the entrances at the dealership as well. And the last piece here is just, if you do need to adjust your hours, we highly recommend you don't shut it off completely. Like I mentioned earlier, if you believe you have a target date, if you are going to be temporarily closed, if you have a target date, let's just block out some time that we're going to be closed in the system. We can easily do that and set up a block. Your performance manager can walk you through that, or our support team can easily do that. But we really do not really encourage you to just turn the thing off completely and block it out. Not, you're sending a message to your consumer that they go to the scheduler, they get halfway through the process to book some service, and there's no time available ever. It just sends the wrong message to the consumer. It's important. We can limit your capacities. If you're working at a limited basis or you've got a limited staff, but we really, really highly, recommend you do not shut it down completely. Let's pick a date and let's work towards that date. And like I said, we can reschedule those customers if we need to. If the time comes and we're not back open yet. So some great operating tips that we've garnered from a lot of stores around the country. So that kind of brings me to the end today, folks. I appreciate everybody's attention. And it looks like we're maybe having a little bit of challenge, Will and Terry, with the questions coming across. So I'm going to jump into the questions here, folks, and let me just pull these up real quick. And let's just see where we. Okay, so Tiffany was asking, does every employee have to have the mobile app for inter-store instant messaging? So there's a couple with our new mobile app. You're able to download the app for free at the Play Store or the Apple Store. And yes, they do. Now, unless you're logged into the desktop, you can still see the chat and everything traditionally as you would see it in Inspect. Hopefully that answers your questions. And then let's see. I don't think I have any more questions at this time. If you've got any questions at all you'd like to throw into the question box, I'd love to answer those. Otherwise, I really appreciate everybody attending today. My contact info is on the screen right now. That's my cell phone number and my email. If you need to know who your performance manager is, feel free to send me an email, respond back to that reminder that I sent you, or give me a call on my cell phone. I'm happy to help you any way I can. We're in this together. We really appreciate you. And reach out to us. We're happy to help any way we can. And we're going to get through this together as partners. So thanks again for everybody's time today. I don't see any more questions. So have a great day. Thanks for attending.